we only see the world from what we know,
Mm.
how life works, from what we have seen, from how it was when we were growing up, and how we saw things yeah, from our experiences. And it comes back to this um realization I had, where to me it seems as though when I'm operating from my default psychology, if you like, the default of psychology, where if not all, I don't have scientific proof for this, but if not all my thoughts about the world outside is somehow related to my self-concept,
Mm.
somehow related to that feeling of me that I think is the truth. However, when I'm out of, the psychology space and in that neutral, connected oneness space, yeah, then there is my thoughts are from a global awareness. If that, like, yeah,
Mm.
um, it's no longer about me, which has been quite interesting. Like whenever it's like I'm thinking about something. Wait, this thought feels my system's feeding back. There's an unease about this, so I take that as a cue, and I go, wait, what is? How does this link to the feeling sensation of my self concept? And I'm like, oh, this is painting this picture about me. That's why I'm seeing it that way. So, um, which has been quite liberating, really.
Mm.
Thinking that, oh yeah, and also to realize that, oh, well, it seems like this is how everybody is operating. Because when I have conversations with friends or colleagues and my partner, it's like, where are you coming from? What's going on? And then when we take a moment and it's like, oh, okay, well, I get it. And also what's interesting is the judgment drops when you hear where they're coming from. It doesn't matter if it is completely egotistical,
Mm.
but when they see that, like when I see it, it's like the truth at that level, and like, oh yeah, I get it. Um, yeah, which is really interesting because I always thought, oh, if it's coming from your ego, it's like, oh, that's bad and all of that. But it's
Yeah.
like, oh no, that's the truth. That's what makes sense to you,
Mm.
and I get it. And it, of course, depends on the state of mind. I mean, of course,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we talked about this before. It's just like the judgment idea and the labeling of things as good or bad.
Mm.
I was working with somebody today, and she said some comment. It was kind of like, "Oh, I was a good girl this week, or a bad girl, or whatever," because she got something done that she wanted to get done. She put this label on it. Like when I do what I'm supposed to do, that's me being good. And if I procrastinate or I don't do it, then I'm bad. And it has all these implications, kind of like you were just saying, in terms of self worth or self concept. And um, yeah, it's so interesting how when people talk about that, you get the sense for how deeply rooted that is, and how personal um, those judgments are.
I'm curious about the deeply rooted
Mm.
perspective. It's something that comes up in conversations often, or it's ingrained in me.
Mm.
And I remember once I was receiving a coaching session, and I was literally saying, it's in my bones.
Mm.
So the coach asked me the question, is it really in your bones? And I'm like, yeah, okay, it's not. So intellectually it made sense, but it didn't for me in that
Yeah.
moment go deeper, because like, because when you say deeply rooted, or I hear the word ingrained, I feel the truth of that, like well, the truth of that
Yeah.
perspective. And I think there's something to it, from it's like, because it feels true, like from the perspective of the thought. Um, is it like, I'm wondering, You know how they say, I think it's true because I thought it.
Mm.
So is it because I always reacted that way? Is that the only reason that it is that the only reason that we have the thought that it's deeply
Yeah,
rooted?
yeah. I don't know, as you're, I mean, I'd never really given it much thought, but as we're talking about it, what's occurring to me is um, how it's just a story to really hang on to a belief. It's kind of like, by putting a label on it, like, in in this case, like I'm the one observing that it was deeply rooted. Like the client didn't say, "Oh, this is a deeply rooted belief of mine." I just could
Mm.
feel that's the term I put on it based on the strength of the feeling that had for her.
Mm.
Um, so I mean, I'm thinking of deeply rooted now in the sense, like, it's a metaphor, obviously, because you think about exactly the exact wording of it, right? Deeply rooted. It's like it's going to be like it's in there. Like you cannot get this out. It's don't even try. Like where I'm so deeply rooted, like just leave me alone. Um, that's just it's so interesting because at the end of the day, like you boil it all down, it's just another thought. Um, and it's funny because it makes me think that it's like when you get a sense that something is deeply rooted, it's almost like it's indisputable. Like we shouldn't even work on this because, like, don't let's not even go there. But that's exactly where you need to go, because if you can, you know, to keep the planting metaphor going, if you can weed that deeply rooted contaminated
Mm.
thought out of somebody's belief system, that might be the key to freeing them up completely.
Mm.
And it may
Uh,
not even be like getting rid of it. It's just like dispelling the myth that it's deeply rooted. That no, that I can't remember if it was Tony Robbins or somebody like that, but it's like people think change. You need a long period of time to make a change. But the truth is, the change happens instantly. We work ourselves up to the change, but the actual change, like once you've got to that point, the change is instantaneous.
mm.
And that's kind of in this line of work. It's that's when you have the insight and you have that shift in understanding. It's instantaneously all that stuff falls away.
Yeah. The just the thought always catches me.
Yeah,
Because the the thought equation or the thought element does less for me than compared to
the
the other
feeling.
side,
Yeah,
the other side of the thought, the feeling side
yeah.
of it. And I was wondering, it looks true, or it looks true because of the feeling, like because
Mm,
you was talking about the deeply rooted is the label I put on it because of the feeling I felt that
mm,
she was communicating with you. So that's like it's the feeling that we believe because we feel it, we think it's true
mm,
because of the feeling. And that's the bit that we all get trapped in. And I know I
yeah,
get trapped in it time and time again. I mean, even now I'm thinking, wow, that thing that I was trying to resolve and doing healing work and coaching sessions around that whole thing is a story or a perspective or whatever, but
yeah.
it had a feeling, and because I'm so used to that feeling all throughout my life, I thought that's a direct feedback from life saying that's the truth.
Mm,
And like you said, seeing that, oh, that is made of thought too, and because the feeling is real, you know,
yeah.
innocently thinking that's the truth.